Thank you, Jackie. Hello, everyone. It is really a pleasure to have you all here today. Welcome to our winter get together. This is very important for us, with the FIDI 39 Club. This is the first time that we are actually working in this kind of format. And I think that it will give us a lot of insights regarding this specific subject of today that is going to be related with technology. So just to give some information, let me just check here. Okay. Can everyone see the screen? Yeah, perfect. Okay. So welcome again. As you all know, nowadays technology takes a huge part of our lives. And we were wondering, what is the specific role of technology in our workplace and in our lives? As we all do, technology has been part of our lives since we can remember. And we cannot stop asking ourselves if technology as a tool for young movers, do you think, and the panelists think, that is it a blessing or a curse? And that will be the main topic today. We will go through the process of understanding retention, generation gap, return of investment. We will talk a little bit about what are the challenges that we have inside our companies and how we can tackle the different situations that are in front of us regarding how technology changed the game, our daily game, basically. So for today's session, we will have four incredible panelists. They will introduce themselves. So go ahead, you guys, start.
Hello, everyone. I'm Yvonne Gutierrez. I'm the general manager of the CAPAC Chile, although I'm Mexican. I have been living in Chile for the past 9 years, and I have been in this industry for over 15 years. And I'm very happy to participate in this forum. So first, I want to thank the FIDI 39 Club board for inviting me. I think this is a very valuable opportunity for us to share our insights, experiences, and challenges. Hopefully, we can all learn something from others' mistakes and get some.
Oh, sorry, Yvonne, you're muted. You're okay. You're
God,
back.
I was talking. I was giving the speech of my life. Was I always muted?
No worries. Go ahead. Continue.
Sorry. Where did you last hear?
Sorry. Keep up with your introduction. Don't worry.
Should I start from the beginning because I was?
Yeah.
We missed like a few seconds, Yvonne. It was my fault. So just like 2 seconds ago.
Don't worry. You can start again.
For 9 years.
Okay. Yeah, I have been living in Chile for the past 9 years, but I have been in the industry for over 15 years, and I'm very happy to participate in this forum because I think it's valuable opportunity for us to share our insights, experiences, and challenges. Hopefully, we can all learn from others' mistakes and get some useful tips, especially because I think technology is no longer an option. We will all have to face it and deal with it, whether we like it or not. And I think it will be rather sooner than later. So I think it's important to be prepared, to stay a step ahead of the game. And I want to thank the FIDI board, the FIDI 39 Club board for inviting me. Thank you guys for the invitation.
Thank you so very much, Yvonne. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Pepe, go ahead.
Okay, so it's my turn. Let's change the rules of the international mobility game. Okay, hello everyone, and thank you for attending to this great event organized by FIDI. My name is José Luis Tabuenca, head of the sales and marketing department of SIT Spain, and I'm also in charge of the digitalization of the company. In these exciting and changing times, as artificial intelligence has come into play, the aim of this panel is that my colleagues Yvonne, Ryan, Nicholas, and I, we can answer your questions and share our experiences in the digitization of our companies. adding our vision on the current and the future digital market situation. I encourage you to support the FIDI 39 Club, listen carefully to the talks, and participate in this dynamic and modern panel put together by our great FIDI organizers, Juan Guillermo Diaz, Jackie Stauffer, and Lee Jacob. Enjoy it.
Thank you so much, Pepe. Go ahead, Ryan.
You're on mute, Ryan.
My apologies. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity from the 39 Club to be a part of the conversation. It's for those of you that are new and those of you that know others that can join, I would highly recommend that you encourage them to participate so that we can all draw from each other's experiences. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Bidalfs International in South Africa, also encompassing Botswana and Zimbabwe. I primarily assist with and deal with operational and sales functions between the client and company, as well as ensuring the executive team's strategic directional goals are met. I've been in the industry for nearly 20 years, and I think for me, technology is best when it brings people together. But the most important thing is how do we do that without it being too fast, without it not being sustainable, and obviously too scary for everyone to embrace, whether they are new generation or old generation. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Ryan. Go ahead, Nico. Last.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nicholas Gardner. I'm the CEO of Intramar Shipping. I've been in the industry for a bit more than 10 years. I'm delighted to be here to share my ideas, my experiences, my insights regarding this very interesting and relevant topic, and that I'm also very passionate about. So I'm very glad to be here, and let's do it.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. Okay, everyone. So thank you so very much for your introduction. I'm sure that everyone here can know a little bit more about yourselves. And please, all members, if you have different insights that you would like to pass through or to go deeper, go ahead and ask our panelists. They're super, super, super cool, and they're always available and open to discuss about how technology works nowadays and how it affects our lives. So, guys, thank you once again for participating. On behalf of the 39 Club Board, we're thrilled to have you all here today. And we hope that by the end of the session, you will have general insights that will work for your companies, and also that you can put in place in your everyday work, basically. We want to open this discussion by reminding everyone that the topic is technology, a blessing or a curse. We're going to figure out if it is all sunshine and rainbows. So let's start with our first question that will go to Yvonne. And basically, Yvonne, we want to know, how do you think young movers are involved in new technology in their companies? Do you think that young movers are leaders or followers?
Well, I think young professionals can be leaders, but their involvement often depends on factors such as leadership skills, the knowledge and experience they have in the process, and also in the company's culture. I think it's fair to say that young professionals can be at the forefront of innovation. They can bring fresh perspectives. They can create new solutions for existing challenges. They're usually digital natives, and they embrace technology faster. They're usually easier to adapt as well. So yes, I think they're certainly capable of being leaders, but I think we have to keep in mind that they need to acquire the proper skills and the knowledge, and also they need the company support. Therefore, I think it is essential for us to promote effective collaboration with more experienced colleagues, fostering an environment of knowledge sharing, and also promote innovation within our companies. provide them with guidelines and training so they can truly excel in their leadership role.
What do you guys think about what Yvonne just said? Ryan, go ahead.
I think Yvonne's got a good point. I think young movers are leaders, but the challenge that we find, and maybe this is similar for other companies, and everyone can make a comment, is there's so much energy and passion in young people. Obviously, I mean, I hopefully consider myself young, but everybody's getting older, and sometimes translating those ideas into reality is very difficult, especially when you're trying to roll it out company-wide. And I think that brings us back to the topic of how sustainable is the energy or the passion or the thought. And I guess the long and short of that is, your staff can tend to feel frustrated. They tend to see a lack of progression. I know in our particular industry, when I say that, I mean in the country that we're in our specific own environment, we're very cautious how fast we move. Can it be backed up? Is it cloud-based? Do we have enough power? Do we have the training? Do we have the tech and support, which is overseas and we're in a different time zone? So I think, long story short, for me is how you balance that without actually demotivating your young leaders by just not rolling out absolutely everything you really want to.
And it seems to be really overwhelming, right? Like all the time, everything is going on so fast, and you have to deal with corporate culture. You have to deal with a generational gap. And at the same time, you have to adapt to what you're doing. You're applying your technologies. So that brings a lot of tension to the process. Nicholas, what do you think?
Well, what I've observed in my experience is that young movers either are leaders or want to be leaders, because first of all, they have these like inherent familiarity with digital tools, which positions them well to innovate and to drive change. Secondly, I think that, as Simon said, as digital natives, they are very aware and they understand that we have to leverage technologies in order to enhance efficiency, to improve client satisfaction, to personalize and customize our services and products. But I do think that we have to mentor them, guide them, train them also in these soft skills and interpersonal skills and leadership skills, so that they can become ambassadors and really they can become role models for other people and persuade them of the benefits of technology.
Of course. And there is something very important there that actually we have to give it a second thought and be aware. And it's because of technology and how technology has impacted our lives after the pandemic. Now it seems like everyone is more distant, right? Like instead of being connected and in team collaboration all the time, we seems to be a little more distant, and that is a huge challenge for companies in general in order to build those soft skills that you were talking about. And that actually gives us a good perspective of also how different generations are crossing through this process. And for this reason, I think that it's quite important for us to go to the second question, and is, Ryan, what do you think that technological tools are improving companies' performance? Do you think that is an issue in your company, the implementation of these tools, considering different generations or the generation gap?
Yes. I think technology does improve company performance for sure. We wouldn't be leaping and bounding without it. I think we get faster response times from queries. We have more data available from the past, obviously, to make better decisions for the future. It helps with average planning predictions, assists with the overall customer experience as a whole. But one of the challenges to that is that everybody or all employees come from different walks of life, right? And in our operating environment, it's sometimes very difficult to implement new tools depending on the quality of education that somebody's been able to have. So I'll just shorten that to basically say you might have this person that means very well, or maybe it's the new entrants to the industry that are packing and moving and loading trucks, and that's often where we draw from. They slowly work their way up in the ranks, and they get into an operations room or a sales role once they know how to do voluming, and then before you know it, one day hopefully those employees are running the company. But if they haven't had the quality of education and they have the right attitude and they have the can-do attitude, that becomes difficult to say, well, here you go, here's all this tech, and then they can regress. So for us, it's a real challenge. Definitely, it definitely improves, but technology is definitely difficult to manage.
And in your experience and the implementation that you have been passing through in your company, what do you think is like that really, really painful point or that really difficult challenge that you have to face? Because you said something about attitude, right? So I think that this is related with what Nicolas said before about soft skills. Do you think that in general companies should invest more in those kind of activities that are for team building and soft skills that will help them to recognize these changes in technology better? And how have you done it? How have you experienced this part?
So two parts to your question. I think the answer is when you're introducing technology and tools, actually getting the buy-in is a challenge. So I've been doing it like this forever, right? I enjoy surveys on a clipboard, and I like to walk around the room and write stuff down, and I remember it better, and then I go home and I like to do my volume, So I think then to start saying, hey, you need to consider a smartphone or an app and quickly do this and start selecting buttons and type in little notes, like you've got to get that buy-in, and somebody's been doing it for 20 years, or vice versa, someone's new and they're a bit like, how do I use this thing? Have I saved it? I'm on the road. How do I save it? Am I doing the right job? So I think definitely what we've tried to do, which we do once a year at least, is we bring everyone to our head office. It's actually happening now in mid-February, and we do a sales and an operations training. If I look at it from an administration point of view, we've got packer porter loader training going on all the time with a trainer around the country, but we'll bring them in, and that camaraderie when we bring in 15, 20 employees, they haven't really ever met each other in person. But now they see each other face to face. We take them out for a meal. They stay for 2 nights. They all stay in the same sort of residence or hotel. And then they just build up this relationship. And I can assure you that makes a massive difference when they then go to the other part of the world and they're sitting on the phone and they're having complications. So I would say, technology makes you efficient. It definitely brings you closer, but you've actually got to have that soft skill, right? We've got to sort of humanize the whole distance, and as Nicolas was saying earlier.
Super, thank you. Jose?
I completely agree with Ryan. Here, the difficult situation is, as my position, that I'm the 3rd generation of my company, the family business. So the point here is that everything works well, right? Without digitalization. So it's very difficult to convince the board, to acquire all of these tools. That's the target, no? I think is the challenge. It's very difficult, but you have to show it, all of these tools that, of course, you will gain a ROI of this, that all of your process are going to be better and are going to be more agile for sure. And that's, I think, the point of this, that you have to convince the people that they are up there, in the board or like making decisions, that this investment it makes worth.
Have you ever had like this strong discussion, like that hard conversation with your, as you said, it's a family business. How do you tackle these hard conversations with your parents or your relatives in that sense? How do you go to them and say to them, we have to do this? What do you think is your punchline to tell them we have to go to this process right now? How do you tackle that, and how have you navigate through that difficult process?
So here is that you cannot implement it, like right now. Like, okay, tomorrow we're going to take this survey platform or app. No, you cannot do it like this. You have to show, you have to do a demo. You have to show that it makes work, that it's going to be better for the whole company, and we'll see, all of the results, in a short period, and you have to convince them that this money is going to be. There are going to be results in the in the next year for sure.
Future. Mm-hmm.
In the future. So the point here is that you have to do it, very slowly, and you have to show it, show all of these apps like very precise, very accurate to the board, to explaining that what is going to be, what is going to happen with all of this process after use this tool.
Okay.
So the thing is, hard things takes time, and I think it's a really tough issue, because it's not like 2,000 euros, right? It's, I don't know, because you have to digitalize, the whole company, okay, all of the departments and different areas for sure.
Okay, and this is something that is actually very important because, as we said before, young movers want to be leaders, and in order to pass through this kind of implementations or how we vision the future, it could be complicated, right? So for this reason, there's something also that it's going on in every single company, and I'm sure that every single member here has passed through that process, and is actually the retention of people inside companies, and that is very, very important for how we manage and how we understand that people is moving from one company to the other. And in our industry, it is quite an issue. I think that for the last couple of years, this is something that you hear in every single meeting. And that's the reason why I would like to ask you, Nicolas, how do you think that technology tools can improve retention in your company?
So technological tools significantly contribute to retention and to attraction, to talent attraction. First, because with technology, you start automating all these boring, mundane, tedious, repetitive tasks that people don't like, so that we enable them to focus on these high value activities, which usually are these activities that have this human element, this human touch. So for instance, being able to have a conversation with the client so that the client feels heard, that's the first aspect. The second aspect is that by implementing these new technologies, you are signaling to your workforce that you're invested in staying relevant in the market. And perhaps you can be a leader or a pioneer in a certain aspect of your industry, and that's very attractive. Who doesn't want to work for a leader or a pioneer in a certain aspect? And the third thing that I think is very important for retention is that by having these technological tools, you can offer better working conditions. So for instance, allowing people to have more flexible working times, or being able to work from home or from anywhere in the world. So yes, I think, that this is not like a choice right now. I think that the labor market is starting to be more demanding in this sense. So we have to adapt, and we have to start using these things, not to be like to get the talent that we need in our companies, and to keep the value in our companies.
And because one of the things there is that now the generations are changing, right? So we have millennials, we have the Gen Z, we have the older generations, and everyone is mixing together in very, very different workplaces, right? Like older generations think that you have to be in the office to do your job, but maybe millennials, we are allergic. We don't want to have a call, for example, like when someone calls you, you're like, oh my God, why is this person calling me, right? Like everything is like you want to text, for example. But when you go to Gen Z, they don't want to text, they don't want to talk. And then you have like a lot of these issues that are part of how do you manage a policy, or how do you work in your own companies on retaining talents. And I think that what you said is very, very crucial for the process. And at the end, it also impacts culture, right? How we see technology as a tool in that sense, that could be one of the blessings, I suppose, to the process. Yvonne, what do you think?
Yes, I just wanted to add something to what Nicolas said. I think pandemic actually helped us in that way. It pushed us to be to work remotely and to prove to these older generations, as Jose was saying, they're not usually, they're not used to this, to work remotely, so they could be not very keen on implementing these communication tools. But with the pandemic, it helped us to show them that it is possible. And it helped us also to digitalize some areas to keep working. And right now there are many collaboration tools. We have different tools that we can use, collaboration platforms, online learning platforms. We have skill assessment tools. So this also help us to retain talent, because if we can assess their needs and provide them training, they can grow in the company. So I think technology have helped us in various ways.
And what do you think are like because it helps us in that sense that you just told us. What do you think is like the main challenge there? Like the thing that you said, like, oh my God, this is going to be complicated. What do you think that's it? Like the dark side of it. What do you think it is?
Technology, I think yeah, I think it's the distance. Sometimes being through a platform or a screen, yeah, it's difficult and it's different than being face to face. So building interpersonal relationships, it's harder this way. And in this industry, well, we have been used to having this personal touch and this face-to-face interaction. So this is difficult right now. And during the pandemic, actually, we had some virtual meetings, and it was also helpful because we could share experiences and we could have meetings. But it's different. We all enjoy being with each other and having this personal touch. So I think we have to find the right balance.
Yeah, super. Jackie.
I'll take the dark side one.
Go ahead.
I mean, from what I'm hearing from the panelists, it sounds like we have options now, right? I mean, as young movers and managers managing other young movers and older, you're dealing with this split in culture that we've never had before because it wasn't an option. I mean, you were in an office and that was it. And now you kind of have to balance, do I bring people in? Do I let them work remotely? There's people that, like you said, will never want to make a phone call if it's their choice. And then you have the older generations that think that it's the only way to get work done. But it is our generations and the generations coming up that have to manage this different process that there's no precedent for. So, I mean, we've talked a lot about blessings, but that's really difficult for anyone to address. I mean, I deal with it in my role, and I'm sure a lot of us on the call here do too. So I'd be curious to hear your guys' take on that.
Go ahead, Ryan. What do you think of that?
It's a pretty loaded question, but I think I mean the retention part as well. It's a strange thing because definitely improves retention. But what Nicolas was saying earlier, and you listened to Yvonne, I think that the biggest trick of it all is the work-life balance, right? That's become a major topic, and I guess we can go down the route of mental health and seeing people in real life and not seeing real life, and staying in a room and getting outside. And funny enough, the trend that we're seeing is even though that COVID 2 years or 1 year of COVID taught us it is possible to work remotely, we have to force technology and we can make it work, right? People still want to see us. So in our industry here, we people are like, oh my gosh, you're going to travel 2 hours to come and see me? We're like, yeah, we're going to come see you, and we're going to send out a sales rep, and they're going to come and check out your house, and it's a farm or whatever it is, and they will walk around and build that bond, right? That's what Yvonne was talking about earlier. Is that's very difficult to do on a video call. So I think for us, we're still seeing a very big demand to see people in person. We found that can, on average, I haven't looked at the stats recently, but you could probably get a 25% better success rate in landing a quote by actually seeing someone, a client. So I would have thought that actually having interaction with your staff every day also makes them feel happier. They feel wanted, they feel heard, they feel needed, right? But it is just getting down to that work-life balance. I mean, we talk about the admin staff. What about the mechanics that fix all the vehicles, right? What about your storeman? He needs to be in the store driving that forklift, lifting a pallet. And you can't let him work from home. He needs to come to work, right? So, how do you say to half the guys, hey, no, you're here for life, like just suck it up. And then, you get other people that whatever. So I think it really, it's definitely something that a lot of us have to get around, and I don't think there's an easy way. But maybe with those people that can't, unfortunately work remotely, we have to be more receptive to a better work-life balance for that retention. And maybe, so I don't know where I'm really going with it, but I think at the end of the day, it's a big curveball to deal with, is how do you retain staff, but at the same time make them feel wanted and engaged and empowered.
And this is exactly why we talk about the dark side, right? Like, this is exactly the point. How do you keep balance? How do you manage that sense or that feeling that the crew is out there doing their job because they have to be there, and then everyone else is just at home, and how they feel that sometimes that is not as fair, let's say, in a way, but at the end it's every single different type of job, right? So you're dealing with that brings a lot of pressure to the companies in general, to boards and management in general, but also how do you relate with your colleagues, right? So this is one point. And there's also the other side that is regarding the investment that you have to do in order to implement these kind of tools in the company. So basically we're facing different fronts of discussion, and all of them are complicated in a way. And this actually brings us to our next question, and this one goes to Jose. I want to know maybe if you have been able to calculate the return of investment on technology development that you have done in your company. Have you been able to calculate?
Yes, we're talking about digitalization, so we have to see what are the results, right? Because if the return of investment, it doesn't make worth. So I'm the person that I'm going to tell you what we did and what we are doing. I think it's a good question, because as we have to be aware that going digital means improving, moving towards more agile processes, and having both an economic and operational return of the company and the employees, the teams, right? And of course, yes, we could calculate the ROI of different tools that we have implemented over the last 3 years. For example, thanks to the survey tool, we have been able to make many more visits than before and give more moving proposals for us, lowering the cost per visit of each SIT salesperson. Before introducing the digital visit tool, the average cost per visit was 40 euros, and now it's 20 euros per visit. We have saved a lot of trouble, reporting creation time, and time to do more remote visits, plus the presentation of the reports, that they are much nicer and clearer for the pricing team. In the last year, we have saved 50,000 euros. We have gone from a cost of 100,000 per year to 50,000 euros. So it's incredible. It's 50%. Another example would be the introduction of the operations tool in SAT Spain. Our operators no longer have to come to the company to take the paper for paperwork and work orders. Okay, and we save a lot of travel and operational costs. We can also be more agile in the company operations, making quicker decisions that our client or agent is happier with us. And it's normal for many changes to occur during the planning and execution of jobs. Going digital in this area has made us, to SAT Spain, more competitive and give us greater control for the operations. We have calculated that the time lost in printing paperwork generate work orders and calls made to communicate between tools members has been reduced by 40%. In other words, what we used to take 1 hour to manage the total of one order now takes approximately 36 minutes. So this is not only means a significant economic saving for the company, if hundreds of thousands euros, but also a well-being for the coordinators, planners, and executors of the orders. Finally, with the introduction of the new CRM that we are implementing in Microsoft in the company, we can have control over the management of all the company's records. Thanks to Power BI, we identify in which areas of the company we are more efficient, and with which company accounts and customer profiles we achieve greater effectiveness, both in satisfaction with the service offer and in the final outcome. That's very, very important for the company to choose, to choose the clients, the right clients, not to waste time. In conclusion, I encourage all of you to implement digital tools that will help you have a real control over all of your areas in your companies and a streamline of your process, making them shorter, of course, and more cost effective.
Super, thank you so very much. Have you calculated any loss in the implementation process, or until this moment you haven't had any losses there?
Yeah, I mean, yes, of course. The thing is that when you are developing your tool, you are till the tool is working, 100%, you are like you are losing, of course, money, because you are developing, like doing tests, with that tool. So till you start the tool that you fix it perfectly to your company, I think you generate loss a little bit. In our case, sometimes during the process you may realize that that tool is not the correct one. Why? Because probably your people or your process or your type customer or type of service is it doesn't fix to that tool that you thought it. So the point here is to take the good one, right? That's
Okay. Yeah.
That's the target.
Super. Thank you so much, Jose. Nicolas, what do you think?
In our experience and the different projects we have carried out, and also the ongoing projects that we have right now, what we have learned is that in order to correctly measure the return on investment, we have to have a clear goal. What is it that we want to achieve with this particular implementation? Because having that very clear, you not only measure the direct financial gains that this new technology can create, but also how the other, let's say, indirect benefits that can be reducing times for certain tasks, that can be reducing the human error, that can be improving the flow of information, that can be having quicker insights to make better decisions and more timely decisions. So I think that all these things can be turned into numbers or figures. For instance, when we say that we save time, we are saving money, yes, and we can calculate it by reducing labor hours, for example. Or when we say that we reduce human error, sometimes these errors cost. So we have certain losses, and we can say, okay, we're not incurring in these same mistakes, so we're saving this money. And all this goes into like a big picture, depending on what you really want. And what Pepe said, sorry, Jose said, it's very interesting because one of the main points and what that would be an advice is being very careful regarding the tool or the kinds of technologies that you want to implement, because sometimes you embark in a huge project and along the way you realize that that does not fit your objectives, your strategy, your company, and that can become a huge loss. So that's just an advice.
Do you have any recommendations regarding like different tools? Like, for example, which tools do you think that companies can use, or for our members to start looking at? What kind of tools maybe you can recommend, you, Jose, to Yvonne, Ryan? This is an open question. What do you recommend in the strict sense of I use this or that tool that could help your companies?
I think I would agree with what Nicholas is saying, in the sense that you've got to make us very, very specific, clear, and there's a lot of opinions at the table, right? I mean, Jose was saying earlier, I'm part of the family business. We're fourth going on fifth soon, 9,500 years. How do you merge the board and the shareholders or the family members or the staff share scheme, whatever you've got? How do you guys find the right point and what's the most important? And I think a couple of things spring to mind: analysis paralysis when working out return on investment. Data metrics are never ending, and we have dashboards galore, right? So, in fact, for our sales staff, so for example, our sales staff have complete visibility of how other regions are doing, what their sale is, what their visitors, what their win ratio is, and it creates this competition environment, right? So I can log on and have a look, and it updates every few hours. And that creates this drive to go, oh, well, I want to beat this person, I want to beat this person. But I think answering your question, and maybe to some of the stuff in the chats in terms of technology, what we as a company probably feel is the most important thing, if you take a step back and you have a look at what's available, it is just unbelievable, right? There was this massive outcry, ChatGPT is going to absolutely sort of dominate everything. And yes, it brings a massive efficiency, of course, but people still need to move boxes, and people still need to be seen in person, and whatever the case is. So I think maybe to answer the question is, what can your company design themselves? What can you take control of yourself? And hopefully you can hear me, because I see my picture's a bit distorted, but what is going to be cost effective for the future? Because I think the products that were out there 2 or 3 years ago, 5 years ago, that everybody's invested in, which was maybe there was a handful, there was 5 or 10 big sort of packages that could ship files between continents and export files. Is that really needed now? And how reliant are you upon those systems? Can you actually make a change? Can you change the tech you've got? Are you going to make people take a step back and go, we're going to stop using the system and now do this, right? And how does that link up with your accounting software? And how does that link up with whatever? So I think people have got to be extremely cautious in what is cost competitive, and can they then tweak that themselves with their own in-house department.
Okay, yeah, totally agree. Thank you, Ryan. Jose, you were going to add something?
Just 30 seconds. The thing is, nowadays, all of this digitalization is going fast. So you have to choose something that is in the market that is always like innovative. You have Microsoft and you have Google, that they are always like, introducing IA, the artificial intelligence. And, I think the how can I say that? The 100% of success is if you choose Google or Microsoft, as the base of your IT solution, right? After you can add, some softwares or whatever, but the control, the center of all of your data has to be there in Microsoft or Google, but because they are going to give you a free, it's not free, but it's free, all of this innovation, all of these new tools for, make your services better and give you all of the communication tools and give you everything. So, they have a SIS, SaaS, that they, of course, they fix one problem, two problems, three problems, but they are not going to help you to fix everything, okay? And these tools, guarantee you that you will success of, digitalization.
And thank you. Yeah, actually, I do believe so. I think that they are so robust and so large in the sense that you can use every single tool inside Microsoft or Google, whatever you use, you can develop things for your company in a very nice way. It's not that disruptive, it's not that complicated. And I think that nowadays we have a lot of information and access to different kind of information that could help us to implement through this ecosystem of these companies or through Google, Microsoft, it could actually help you to improve efficiency in your company in an easy way. So thank you for that answer. I think it's a good insight for everyone to keep in mind. And actually we have two questions from the chat. Jackie, if you could help us to go to them. Thanks.
Sure. Okay, so Laurinus was up first here. He would like to know, panelists, what are your thoughts about technology and moving industry that far, that move coordinators may in the future be replaced by AI? Same way we already see being used ChatGPT, AI chatbots, etc., or a solution to help reduce the repetitive communication with clients in times when it's hard to hire in the industry.
Ooh, tricky question. Yvonne, what do you think?
Here, I don't think AI is going to take our jobs, but the colleagues that know how to use it better will. So I think we have to learn how to use it and to be prepared every time we have these new technology, instead of just go around the corner because we don't want to face it, because we don't understand it. Just look for it, check it, be prepared, use it, and try to implement it in your company in the fastest possible way. It can always help you to automatize repetitive tasks. It can help you to implement new solutions. And as José Luis was saying, sometimes you don't need to get the most expensive system. You can just get a simple app that helps you to overcome the daily tasks.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that what you said is so powerful, and I think that it's one of the greatest insights yet. I think that we should be moving in that phase, and we should be understanding what is going on and implement it, right? Because the people who will be the people that stay in the industry and just go with the process. Nicholas, what do you think?
I totally agree with Yvonne. And as I said in my response to the retention question, the point is not replacing the person, but complementing the person and enhancing the person. That's why nowadays we're talking about human augmentation, which is enhancing its cognitive skills, it's optimizing their time. But I think it's key here, and I think that it's slightly varies among industries, is what is the client need, or what's the client preference regarding certain interactions with the client. So maybe you could say, okay, I'm going to implement a chatbot that replies to the client when the client has an issue. Is that really what the client wants? This is the questions that you have to ask yourself to know which tasks are going to be assumed by or going to be assigned to technology, and what tasks are going to be assigned to human beings. So I think that's a key thing, to ask what you're looking to ask yourself what's the client preference That's the point.
That's it.
Yeah, I hate these bots where you just get replies, automatic replies, and you can never get the answer that you were looking for. So yeah, that's a good point, Nicholas.
Jackie?
Yeah. To what Nicholas just said there, and to Lorna's question, I think yeah, it's more of a matter of defining like a competitive edge that ChatGPT can give you, or an AI response. Like for example, my company uses this system. I mean, we're fully digitalized and everything, and there are certain parts of the FIDI audit, for example, that you absolutely need to do these things and communicate this information, but it is a pretty basic task. And a coordinator maybe doesn't have to spend their time sending this basic email that they could be spending to send a more complicated update. Like, for example, the disruption in the Red Sea and making people understand how that impacts. You can't expect for a second that a chatbot could answer a complicated question like that. And to avoid Yvonne's point, it would only frustrate people more to kind of have some auto response or like, sorry, didn't quite understand that question, when they're trying to find out like where their livelihood and all their belongings are. So I think there's a middle ground, Larnus, but I think what the panelists are saying is exactly right. It's not going to be the end all be all.
Thank you, Jackie. Jose and Ryan, just a couple of minutes because we're running out of time, and we'll go to.
Me is going to be just
Go ahead.
15 seconds. Okay, I think that all of us, the people, the society, they want the quote very fast. That's the point, and they don't care about the attention, the first attention. They don't really appreciate it. Okay, so I think in that first part of the process, you are right in the way that Lorraine, that she said that a chatbot or a machine learning or something, that part is it makes sense and it's going to be a bot for sure. I think so. But after, when you accept the service, you always want someone, a person or something that go with you, right? This coordinator, the thing is that the service that you give, you have someone that can help you all the time, and very nice. And that point, I think, is very difficult. Yes, a robot can substitute you. That's not nice.
Yeah, and I think that you are saying something that's super important, and it's the combination of both, right? Which is what nowadays everyone is talking about, is how do you mix these two, technology and workforce, in order to give the best possible response to your clients and to your providers and to everyone that is surrounding companies, right? So, okay, guys, we'll go back to the questions that you're asking in chat, but first, we want to have a little space for the panelists to answer the following question. This is for every one of you. I think that this question is very important for us as the members of the club to understand what are the different recommendations that you can give us regarding all the topics that we are talking today, and what are those important aspects that people can take away from the session. So to all of you, guys, what are your thoughts about the statement of technology, a curse or a blessing? Based on your experience, what are the recommendations that you can give to all our members around the world about implementation, technology culture, and soft skills? What are your insights about that? Yvonne, let's start with you.
Thank you. Well, I think technology can be both a curse and a blessing. It can be a curse if you don't implement it correctly. Let's say that you get a very expensive and complex system or a tool, and it doesn't, it's not the right one for you. It doesn't solve the problems that you wanted to solve, or in the way you need it to be solved. Maybe you can lose money. You can also lose some of your staff, and that will have repercussions in your business, but it can be a blessing if you implement it correctly, if you follow the right path, and don't skip any steps. In my perspective, or in my opinion, there are 4 crucial steps. The first one is analyze the current process you have in place and identify what you want to correct, you want to improve, or the benefits you want to achieve. And the second is invest enough time and resources on the design. This is the how. So the first one is the what do you want to do? The one that you want to achieve, what do you want to improve? And the second one is how. So this is the design part. And this is very important because if you don't design it correctly, the design is not correct, the tool is not going to work well for you. And the third one is identify which available tools are in the market. You don't have to invent the wheel. So just identify which tool is available and which one is the best suited to you. And remember, there aren't any software that is tailor-made. So there will be some opportunity cost, and you have to consider that. And the fourth is, I think it's one of the most important ones, is to prepare and train your staff. This is part of the implementation process. And if this is not done correctly, nothing's going to work. So I think you have to invest time in this area. And if you don't have the in-house guidance, you can always use a technology advisor or someone that can guide you from the outside. But for me, my takeaways would be 2 things that I have learned by failing, unfortunately. And one thing that it's just, I think, just common sense, I guess. The first one is that you don't need to get a complex, very fancy, expensive system. There are many simple apps that can be easily adapted or integrate into your current system. So invest wisely. The second one is don't fall in love with a tool, because sometimes you listen or you hear about some very fancy tool, very disruptive tool that big companies are using, and you want it because you're in love with the tool. But if you are not capable of handling this tool, if you don't have the internal resources, it's not going to work for you. So instead of getting one tool because it's very fancy and it's very cool, just look for what you really need and get the tool that is more useful to you and that you can handle with your internal resources. And the third is just not to don't think that technology is not going to affect you. So don't underestimate the influence it can have. Nowadays, you can live without it. Maybe you can do it everything without technology, but the world is moving rapidly. So you will be at a disadvantage soon if you don't embrace it.
Mute on, mute.
You're muted.
Thank you so much, Yvonne.
You're
That was so interesting. Who of you guys want to follow? Nicholas, Ryan, Jose. Who's next? Nicholas, go ahead.
So I think that although technology can present a lot of challenges, difficult challenges, I see technology as a blessing. Unequivocally, undoubtedly, it's a blessing to me. If you implement it properly, as Yvonne said. So properly is doing it in a thoughtful way, doing it in a humane way, taking into account the people involved into this technology. And there's something that I think I consider essential, and is technology and innovation always have to serve value creation or adding value. It's not just about doing it for the sake of it, and because otherwise, if you don't do this, you're gonna have like these frills and you're gonna have these nice to haves, but not really change your business. So my advice, I would say that my first advice would be always bear in mind your corporate philosophy. What are your corporate goals, yeah, for your company? What are your values and all these things first to have like a framework to work upon. Create synergies between machines and people. So identify in what aspects technology has strengths and weaknesses, and the same for people, and try to complement so that you can just use the strengths of both parts. Understand your specific goals, as I told you, to be able to measure the return on investment and all these things. Have specific goals for each implementation. And one thing that was really interesting that Jose said, and is work with a IT environment, whether it's Microsoft, Google, or whatever. They have a lot of apps and software that is integrated and that complements each other. So have these as a platform, and then start adding things, and be very careful to what functionalities you're adding to your, let's say, your platform. The other advice would be use all these AI-based technologies that are publicly available. Maybe sometimes you have to pay some, but in general, they're really good technologies that are not really expensive, you know. So use them. Search for the different tools that there are. As Yvonne said, there are a lot of things in the market. You don't have to invent the wheel, as she said. And I think that the last, for example, one thing that is really interesting, if you want to look into it, is the no-code software development. So nowadays, there's like, imagine like this ChatGPT, there's like a natural language, and you can start developing software just by giving it prompts. This is really interesting, and this is really groundbreaking. And the last thing is what Yvonne said also, and is try to implement or try to create a culture of continuous learning and development. Because one of the main challenges and dark side of the technology is that we, including me, and I'm really involved with these topics, that everything goes so fast that you start to feel like a pressure and a stress that you're not good enough in certain aspects, or that you don't know enough. So try to keep a growth mindset and learn all the time.
Thank you, Nicolas. Ryan, go ahead.
I'll keep mine hopefully in a minute. I think what Nicolas is saying, and Yvonne, is two things: scalability. How can you replicate the same procedure and have the system handle that? You know, and in terms of the growth, some of us have 10 employees, some have 100. And some have 1,000, right? So can it work very well? Because that is frustrating for the staff, especially surveyor out on the road. Can he get the survey? Can he send it back? Can it upload, download, you know, etc. B, have a failover. Have a failover. Have a failover. Have a failover. And for us, it's super important. You know, we get power cuts, load shedding, whatever it is. Sometimes we'll have 8 days of no power. So, you know, whilst all of these wonderful systems are coming out, we've got to make sure that we can operate back in time without the basics. So I think for me, scalability and definitely failover. But like Nicolas was saying, use people's strengths, right? If they're good at it, let them run with it, make them feel empowered, and just have good people around you. That's probably what you need to focus on.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Jose.
Okay, my turn. Okay, so in 100% as technology as a tool for young movers, it's a blessing. I think that 90%, of course, with caution and always progressing gradually. Okay, I think it's a blessing because the efficiency and productivity of the company, technology can significantly enhance the efficiency of moving processes, from logistics to communication, and making tasks quicker and more streamlined. The accessibility of these young movers, that they can leverage technology for easy access to information, resources, and tools, facilitating better decision making and problem solving. That's the second point. The third point is the market reach. That's very important because the market is so big in the digital world, right? The digital platforms provide opportunities for young movers to expand their reach, connect with a broader audience, and explore new markets. It's important to know that, okay, we are in the moving sector, but we can find some new areas or how can I say, business that they are attractive for our company. So if you go digital, you can find a lot of things, new things. And I think that is a 10% course because the security concerns, because it's with the use of digital platforms, there is a need for heightened cybersecurity measures to protect our customers' data. That's a very important thing nowadays. You know, the people are, I mean, you probably receive every year an attack or something, and the cost of the implementation of these tools. Acquiring and maintaining advanced technology can be costly for a smaller moving business and potentially creating financial, financial problems. In summary, the impact of technology on young movers depends on how well it's integrated into their operations, considering factors like adaptability, as Simon said, cybersecurity, that nowadays is a problem, it's a huge problem, it probably costs a lot of money, and the balance between technological efficiency and traditional skills. That's my point of view.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. I think that these insights are super important, super interesting. I think that maybe we can go with one last question from the chat, and then we'll wrap up all these ideas that we have.
Okay. So we have basically 3 questions about CRMs and move management systems. So I'm going to sort of create a hybrid here for us. The first, there's a few questions about how to select and then implement a CRM or move management system. So one thing that was interesting that JJ asked us is you have 2 avenues, really. You can either try to pick an all-in-one approach when it comes to move management and CRMs that does everything, or you can sort of piece it together and create an API to make the systems talk. So that's one area to look at. And then the second is really how do you identify which path works best for your company? I mean, I think that might be a multi-pronged question there, but I will, Nicholas, I just saw you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, Jose, go ahead.
Okay, so the thing here, as JJ said, my friend JJ, hello, that so the thing is, of course, there is a MMS, there is platforms and SaaS, as I said, that they work very well. But the thing here, it's very difficult nowadays to be updated. Okay, these MS, they are not going to tell you, they are going to advance as fast as the market is going. It's very, very difficult. And Google and Microsoft, I think that they are the first, they are the first that they introduced the IA. So the thing here is with our Business Central, that is a ERP, and you put all of your financial numbers, the IA right now, the artificial intelligence tells you if you are investing well, tells you if you have to put more money in that account, tells you. So nowadays it's there, and you don't need another advisor. It's in the platform, So and it's integrated in this Microsoft platform. So my opinion, just to make a conclusion, is that these environments you can adapt it with an IT guy inside your company of all of your process and all of your needs. And I think it makes worth to develop inside your company, because it's very difficult to be updated just with your team you can be. And this environment platform gives you this flexibility.
Okay, Thank you, Jose. Nico, last.
Okay, so I think that there are actually three paths. The first path, and depending on the scope of your operation, and I was like, I kind of, the one that I felt most comfortable with was having an ERP, an enterprise resource planning that had everything. So CRM, transport management system, warehouse management system, order management system, all these things like integrated in one solution, let's say. This has one risk, and is that usually, but first, if it's a well-known and very, yeah, let's say very sophisticated system, it can be really expensive. Let's talk about SAP or Oracle, or these things can be really expensive. If it's not one of these companies, you also have to find a provider and marry with this provider. Say you have to marry for a certain amount of time. It has to become your ally. So it's a risk because sometimes this other company doesn't keep up with your needs and your its clients client service. So this is one path. There's another path that is the one that is stated here and is piecing together through different apps and things that are integrated with each other. It's an interesting one. You have to have like the skills to understand that you're not like doing these redundancies, and you're really complementing functionalities. So it's really interesting. That's an interesting path, but it requires a person that knows what it's doing and combining the industry knowledge with the IT knowledge. But there's a third path that is really interesting nowadays, and is developing it yourself. So before, only really large companies could do it because it's really expensive to have your own team of engineers and develop your things. But nowadays, as I said before, there are these new technologies where, let's say, a not very skilled person can start coding or designing or developing the software, and this is a new door that is opening. So it's interesting to explore that other path.
Thank you, Nicolas. Ryan.
I'll try and be quick. I think with the questions that I'm reading in the chat, in terms of choosing this infamous ultimate system, we're against going for an all-in-one, so I would disagree with Nicolas. I think it's easier, but when you get to scale, it gets harder. And I think it becomes challenging when you have downtime or a hack or whatever. So for us, we've kind of tried to divide it into 4 areas. You've got invoicing, and that's a big part, a very big part that's important in your business, right? So how are you preventing double entry? But through an API, how do you integrate invoicing into your sales process, your acceptance process, generating the quote, right? But invoicing is massive, and getting that accurate to your income statements is very, very key. So invoicing is one avenue. Choose a program, Sage, Xero, whatever it is, right? Microsoft 360, whatever. Next one we found was sales. That's the key. And limiting your dashboard. How do you we had 10 different things you could click on. We've now got 4, so the sales know this is what I need to focus on, and, whatever. The next one was operations. We have yet to find, and maybe everyone lives in big countries, small countries, maybe Jackie, say in the States, like 3-4 days to cross the country. In Australia here, what are we, 1,500, 2,000 Ks between Cape Town and the north of South Africa. So how do we shift and do local removals and international removals and groupage loads all on an ops system with a couple of hundred vehicles? Very, very difficult. So we've gone for an in-house ops system. And then the other one is HR and payroll. Can you give your employees a payslip digitally? That's quite private. So in terms of some of the questions there on how did you choose it, we decided to maybe divide it up into 4 and try not to get too many to hinge off that, right? Like Nicholas was saying, make sure it can do everything within that field. But just with all the stuff we've been talking about with tech, it just makes me laugh. Our IT guy here, he's like jack of all trades and almost master of everything, because you've really got to trust this person, right? I mean, not only is he probably a part-time plumber and he hangs a picture, this guy can obviously do some serious coding. So how do you trust that guy? How does he buy in? Because maybe he's not part of the family business. Maybe he's not part of the board team, but this is your most important guy. Your website goes down for an hour. How much money have you lost, right? So how do you have a Palo Alto firewall network? How are you integrating a spiderweb program where you have authorities and permissions, and who is constantly tracking that? And then, like Nicholas says, how do you balance that cost? How does it become sustainable? Like it's a really difficult gap. You can't just plow lots of employees into this massive IT department, right, without the sales. So I think it's a really interesting question, but I would definitely, when you're part of the FIDI 39 club and you go to a FIDI, there's what, 40, 50, 60 of us. When I'm there, I just literally pick everyone's brains and really try to ask them what's going on. And then you try to take it back and take stock. So I would encourage join the FIDI 39 club.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone. I think that what it's very important, and that very large part that we want you guys to take away, is that it's extremely important to understand that the world is evolving in technology, is evolving, and every single day, the pace of that evolution or that motion is very fast. And what we want as a club to let you know is that you are a huge part of your companies. Go ahead, be a leader. Try to pass this through your bosses or your board or your family or whoever is in charge of decisions. Or if you are, take action. That's the first point that I think it's extremely important regarding what everyone said. It is also super, super important to understand what are we doing, what's the objective. I think that that's something that everyone can relate with the fact that if it is not going to be, that it has to be specifically to get something done in a good way, in an efficient way. It has to be cost efficient. And for that reason, we have to make a very good planning process. And of course, understanding that we're going to fail. Of course, that can happen. It could happen. It might happen. But at the end of the day, if you don't talk the talk, let's say, and you don't walk through the process, it won't be possible for your companies to evolve and for yourselves to be more prepared in the professional world. So I think that with this closure, we're okay for the day. Thank you so very much, everyone, for participating. Thank you to our panelists. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for communicating all these thoughts and insights that you have are extremely important for our community and for the members of the club. Thank you to every single member that participated in the panel today. It is very important for us, and all the board are very happy to have you here. Once again, thank you, thank you, thank you. We hope to see everyone in Edinburgh. And Jackie, go ahead.
So guys, this recording will be available on the FIDI.net in our toolbox on the 39 Club section. So you can always go back, listen to it later, or go back to something one of the panelists said. This is something that we're going to keep trying to do, events in this format. I mean, from the questions you all came with and the information from the panelists alone, let alone the rest of you that obviously have experience in this, I think this is something we can benefit from. So when we send out a survey soon, asking for your input on what else you'd like to hear about, please give it to us so we can curate these events for you in the future and really help to give you the tools you need to, further the growth in your own company and your own career. So thank you guys. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a great day.